Yep.
Purdue did not put on the greatest comeback in college basketball
Great segue.
against Ohio State with a interim coach, Jake Diebler, coaching the Buckeyes. Chris Holtmann was fired last week. We'll talk a little bit maybe about that here in a minute. But I want to know, are you ready finally? Are you finally ready to admit what I've been telling you for a month now? UConn is the best team in college basketball. Will you just say those words?
Yeah, no, they're playing like the best team.
Say the words. Repeat after me.
They're playing like the best team in college basketball.
No. I want you to repeat after me.
Right now, they're the best team in college basketball. This season is a long entity. Like you can't just. I mean, yeah, right now they're the best team. I watched a lot
say
of
the words. No, not that. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear they're the best team. I want a clippable thing right now where we can say Robbie Hummel said UConn is the best team in college basketball. Just say it.
All right. Right now, UConn's the best team in college basketball.
There it is. There it is.
Hold on. My cat is doing.
What is Monty doing?
Monty he wants to play. Monty, you gotta get down.
You have no control in your household.
He just walked over. I'm glad he didn't exit out of the Zoom call.
Monty just jumped on.
Monty the cat.
Maybe Monty doesn't like the podcast.
He thinks that I need a better partner.
I think he wants.
No, UConn is the best team. They are the best team. Now that can change. It's not like a permanent designation, but the way they beat Marquette, my goodness, I mean,
they rolled.
That was a slaughter. From the Purdue angle, they've won 9 of 10. So like when people are saying, should we be panicking? You've won 9 out of 10 games. Right. The road is tough.
Right.
And it really is. I think it's amazing that Zach Edey has probably in the last 2 years lost 7 or 8 games. Or over the last 3 years, they've lost 10 games. I bet they've had the court stormed 10 times on them, which is pretty wild. But I don't think Purdue has been playing as well the last 2 weeks. I haven't felt like they've maybe been
Minnesota, right? They struggled against Minnesota, Northwestern.
Kind of walked through that game. The Indiana game, they didn't play well and still won by 20.
So why? What's your biggest issue? If you're worried about one thing about Purdue, obviously we're talking about going into the tournament now because frankly, let's face it.
Well, I think I know what it is. I think it's any dynamic guard. I worry about that. I mean, Bruce Thornton had 22 and kind of kept Ohio State in the game early when it looked like Purdue might blow it open. Think about Boo Buie went for 30, Mark Sears went for 30, Caleb Love went for 30.
Isn't that why they got Lance Jones? Isn't that why they got Lance Jones?
Yeah, but Lance Jones can only guard one guy.
But shouldn't he be guarding that guy?
I'm trying to remember who Lance Jones guard. Did he get Caleb Love? He might have been guarding Colin Boswell. Maybe not. Maybe that was Braden. I can't remember at this point. That feels like 10 years ago.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean that's what he's out there to do, and I think he's been pretty good in that role. I was surprised they only got 9 threes up. That's impressive. But they were 3 of 9 from 3. 3 of 9 from 3. I don't feel like Edey has been as efficient, and he's still been really good. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think he's. Yeah, and he kept bringing the ball down, and Zed Key and those bigs just kept taking it from the guards. You allow those little guys to come in and take the ball from you. I think that he's got to get back to the level that we saw. And certainly they've been really good because they've made threes around him, But I do think my biggest concern is when you get a dynamic guard like a Mark Sears, like a Boo Buie, they have not been great at slowing those guys down.
I think part of my concern is Fletcher Loyer lately.
Well, that too. That's
really struggled, and he can't disappear. Like his bad games, Rob, are bad. His great games
he's
terrific.
Been like that all year long. That's been like kind of. I mean, he had 28 on Tennessee. Think about that.
Yeah.
How many guys give Tennessee 28 and 28 to Arizona?
Right. So here's my question to you: is that something where you would, if you were Payne, would you be looking to try to get Fletcher Loyer on track early? And again, you're not looking to get 28 from him every night.
No, I just think you want consistent play. I mean, his last 3 games, he's 1 of 6 against Indiana, 1 of 5 against Minnesota, and he was 1 of 7 against Ohio State.
Right.
So that's not, it's not good enough, and I think everybody knows
why
that.
don't coaches do that, Rob? Why don't they run like Zach Edey's going to get the ball? You're fine with Zach Edey, right? He's going to get his touches. Okay. Braden Smith has the ball all the time. If I always say this about coaches, there's usually like one guy on a team that you're like, you want to get going because he's kind of the key and he could be all or nothing. Wouldn't you be running something to try to get Fletcher Loyer an easy look early in the game to get him?
And they do run some of that handoff action to get him to his right hand. They do run some stuff for him, but he's got to make some shots. He's 2 of his last 13 from 2. It's not like it's just he's bricking threes. He's not making 2s either. But that's a big thing going forward. They need him to be a factor. And if he's not going to be, it's not like he's a great defender. You almost wonder, and again, you don't want to crush Fletcher Loyer's confidence by just benching him and trying to be like, well, we'll try Cam Heide, or you need Fletcher Loyer. Like you need him, I think, to be a factor. And
what's their best lineup, Rob? To him. Rob, what's Purdue's best lineup out there in your opinion? I know it differs depending on matchups for the other team, but overall, what's the lineup you like the best for Purdue?
Edey, Gillis, Lance Jones, Braden Smith, and I guess Fletcher when he's going, and if not Fletcher, I guess Cam Heide.
Yeah, I'm surprised Heide hasn't gotten more time consistently throughout the year. I really am.
I mean, he's got a body, he guards, he can make a shot. He's a good piece.
Yeah, I just felt like he could.
But I think Fletcher gives you the high end, like 27. You have to keep coming back. 28 against or 27 against teams like Arizona and Tennessee. I don't know, but I think Gillis gives them the best fit. And Mason Gillis has had a great year for Purdue. Trey Coffin-Run is different. He's a beast on the offensive glass. Certain matchups, I think he's been really successful. But I think they're the best 5 with Gillis on the floor.
The Yukon Huskies, as you mentioned, absolutely boat race Marquette.
They did.
They've lost 1 game since I think it's like mid-December.
They've won 14 straight, right?
Right. In a conference that again has some
the bottom has some bad, like DePaul, Georgetown. They are not
dead weight at the bottom. But again, listen, 14 straight is still 14 straight.
Well, and they've only played DePaul once in that stretch, and twice in that stretch. In Georgetown, they've played both teams. They've played twice. They played both those teams twice.
Can you come back later, please? Thank you.
We got the cat interrupting. We got housekeeping interrupting. This is a disjointed podcast.
Shit show of a pod so far, especially when you have to admit that UConn is the best team in the country.
Well, they are right now. Yeah.
That is really tough, but they don't have.
It's not that tough for me. It's really not that tough. They're playing great, so I can live with saying that.
Here's my difference for UConn is there's no hole on the Huskies, and I like their bench better. Obviously, we know they won it all too. So you've got a bunch of guys in Tristan Newton and Alex Caravan and Donovan McClingan that have rings, right? So they've already done it. They've got that kind of in the back of their mind that they've got that swagger. I honestly think Stephen Castle's been the kind of the guy that's come in along with Cam Spencer. I mean, Cam Spencer's been awesome. Don't get me wrong. He could be the Biggie's player of the year, but Castle just gives him something different at the highest end where like Lance Jones is solid for Purdue. Like Castle is unbelievable in terms of his upside.
I think saying that Lance Jones is just solid is disrespectful to Lance Jones. This team has lost 3 games, Jeff. Like I know that they didn't play well the last game, but just saying he's solid. And look, Steph Castle is really talented. He's probably going to be an NBA player in 4 months. But I think that Lance Jones is better than solid. I totally disagree with you.